Cheers.
You've stumbled on into the Tap Takeover Podcast.
Welcome back to the Tap Takeover Podcast. We have just wrapped up recording at 1840s here with Kyle, and we are going to do a special tasting of our solid Non Fail Stout, which comes out today at Mobcraft. So while I'm pouring, Jim, why don't you tell Kyle all what went into this beer, since you were our specialty guy on this project.
Shameless self-promotion time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to admit that there was a lot of God damn. And so I have to admit there was actually a lot of collaboration with a lot of members from our previous episodes in the making of this beer that I reached out to. I never brewed at this kind of scale, so it was pretty scary to say, hey, this is a stout that I love, but can it really scale up? So it's a Maris Otter base. It's got a bunch of specialty malts, Patagonia C170, Black Prince, roasted barley, dark chocolate malts from Proximity. That was really awesome.
Yeah, friend of the show, previous episode, Proximity.
So, and I had and then we're going to do coffee and maple on it, and it was just, we're going to go crazy, and we're going to make a big beer, too, because this is what these boys wanted.
He wasn't there. We actually wanted a 15%.
Oh, boy.
We
What
settled
did it end up at?
12.
Yeah,
Okay.
we compromised.
15 is hard to do
Yeah.
and not have it taste super hot, because usually the big guys are barrel-aged. Right?
Well, without getting like all, Jim knows all the specifics of the malts and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
what we wanted was just a big beer with a good malt backbone, and just that little hint of the coffee, the maple, and everything to be balanced. So that's what we were coming at it.
Totally.
And then Jim helped us kind of get us there, and I think we got there.
Well, I can appreciate that because any brewer knows what they're doing, brews for balance. And it's super important. As a beer drinker, you appreciate those beers the best, whether you realize that's why you appreciate them or not. So kudos to you guys. I mean, the maple flavor, the aroma is just jumping out of this glass at me right now.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I haven't even had a sip of it yet, and I'm excited.
Yeah, and that was something, too, that was really important to me, was be balanced. We could do a maple bomb. We could do a coffee bomb and just go over the top and just do something ridiculous. I didn't want to do that. That wasn't going to be me. That's not what I like in beers. That's not what I wanted to have for this podcast that we've all put in so much hard work for. So,
and I think we took a lot of inspiration from some of those really well blended maple coffee beers, like the Morning Delight, the Imperial Smells Like Bean Spirit. Not to say that not to toot our own horn that our beer is on that level, because that is a whole different level. But I think it's approaching those kind of flavors.
I think you need to give yourself a little bit more credit. This beer is fantastic. It's well balanced. It's got all, you noted hints of coffee and maple syrup on here. You definitely have them in that balanced method, but they're there for sure. There's no doubt. And it's a big dog, but it doesn't drink hot or anything like that.
No, we were saying it's sneaky smooth.
Yeah.
it is sneaky smooth. You would, if you were blind tasted this, you would not say this is a 12% ABV beer.
Mm-mm. No, not at all.
And part of the reason that we were excited to work with Mobcraft about this is part of the reason that we were excited to work with Mobcraft on this beer is that we had tried the batshit crazy. We knew that they nailed the coffee flavor.
Mm-hmm.
They're using dark and light roast, so you're getting like all of that, both the balance of the coffee, and then add that to an amazing stout, which they were able to. I mean, Jim, talk about the grain bill on this thing. It was immense.
So we maxed out their mash tun. We went full 3,000 pounds of grain. And one of the things that
it's like coming out of the manway.
I look back on this and as a home brewer, you're just throwing whatever fucking everything into your mash tun, and working with Andrew, and he's like, I want a 100% Maris Otter base, blah blah blah, and he's like, well, we need to think about this, and let's do 50% Maris Otter and 50% pale ale, pale malt, and I'm like, well, okay, I guess there's a cost involved. Maris is much more expensive. By the time we're humping our 15th bag of grain into the grain mill, and while there's this big super sack of pale malt up there, I'm like, what asshole put all these specialty grains in this beer?
Oh yeah, that was me. No, and that's what I think is really cool about what Mobcraft does, is that, I mean, I would never sign up for that, to say, let's just let homebrewers make some decisions for us, and then we have the challenge of scaling that up and making it taste good. Like, oh my God,
Yeah.
you know. But now doing this enough and having people come up with, I want 100% Maris Otter as my base grain, and other, I'm sure, even more asinine ideas. Not that, no offense.
No, that
But they've got practice now on like how to rein in the home brewer or the person who's never brewed a batch of beer, but they came up with a really cool idea. And turn it into a commercial product that is like this, where this is like, I mean, I'm going to go buy one of these today.
tomorrow, actually.
No, today.
Yeah.
God
We're
damn it,
time
Alex.
traveling right now. It's kind of crazy.
Friday.
I forgot.
We'll go buy one today.
Yeah. No, it's great. I think it's a fantastic beer. And so it's just a hat tip to some of these awesome brewers that work in this industry. You know, we're lucky in Milwaukee that we've got awesome players in this scene.
We also got great news today, actually from Henry and Mobcraft, that Tavor actually purchased 40 cases of this.
Very cool.
It's going to be national.
So Tavor customers outside, the way they work is no one in Wisconsin will be able to get it because that's where the beer is sold. So people all around the country will be able to get it, which is super cool.
And everybody throughout the country is going to see our little Tap Takeover podcast label on the beer and wonder to themselves, what is this podcast?
Yeah.
So hopefully we
And
gain
what
some
genius
listeners.
came up with this beer?
Okay.
We must invite him for more collaborations.
There's Jim putting himself over.
Okay, I think it's over here.
This is
No, but we wanted to share this with you because you opened up the brewery to us and had us try amazing beers, and we just wanted to have you try this one that we are proud of. So, thank you.
Well, you should be. It's a fantastic beer, and I really appreciate you sharing it with me fresh on release day. It's fantastic.
all right. So it's got the 1840 seal of approval.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this one up, but thank you for joining us for this special tasting, and hopefully you join us today for the big release at 7 p.m. at Mobcraft Brewing.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. This is definitely the end of the episode.
Now it is.